Well, hi there. It's good to see you again. Today I'm going to tell you about the Animal Donut ETF, ANDO. And I'd mentioned a few days ago that I'm going to make this video and tell you about this ETF. And today I'm going to do it. So after much reading and research and learning, I finally came up with the stocks that made it into this portfolio. And the first one is called Axsome Therapeutics. AXOM. And the ticker symbol is AXSM. And what's really interesting to me about this drug company is that they actually have two products that are made it through all the clinical trials and they're for sale. And they made money on these two drugs in 2023. One of them is called Auvelity, and it's used to treat major depressive disorder. And it's a very interesting combination of two different drugs which are previously available, but they've combined them into a drug that seems to be useful in treating depression, and it kicks in a much shorter period of time, like 1 to 2 weeks, whereas a lot of depression medications take several weeks to even start to have an effect. So Auvelity is one of the drugs, and they had $130 million in sales in 2023. And then the other drug, which has actually passed through trials and is commercially available, is Sunosi. And that has $75 million in sales. And that is used to treat excessive daytime sleepiness. People who have sleep apnea, they have obstructive sleep apnea, they can use this so that instead of being tired all day long, they can take this particular drug and pass through clinical trials as an effective treatment. So what's interesting about this company is not only those two drugs that have passed through trials, but the drugs that are currently in their pipeline. But I think an investment in this company is really more an investment in the pipeline of drugs for migraine and fibromyalgia, narcolepsy, and the treatment of Alzheimer's agitation, which if those drugs were to get approved, some of them, or potentially all of them, that could be a really big deal for this company. Losses are expected to continue throughout this year, 2024, but the profit is anticipated to start happening for this company in 2025. So, again, this is not investment advice. For Axsome, estimates that the potential peak sales are up to $16.5 billion in the US from its product portfolio, which includes those two drugs I just mentioned, plus the 5 candidates that are all kind of in the process in its pipeline. So the second stock in this portfolio is one that I mentioned last week, or maybe the week before, when I was talking about energy involved in driving these data centers and in all of the AI chip development. And so this company is Constellation Energy. And the ticker symbol is CEG. Now, this company is a really big energy producer in the United States, and one of the things that's kind of their specialty is nuclear energy. Constellation was actually spun off from Exelon Energy a couple of years ago, and their portfolio is mainly nuclear power reactors, which provide clean energy. They're not producing carbon emissions into the atmosphere. And I just think that in the coming years, if this demand for data center energy is what some people are projecting it's going to be, I think a company like Constellation Energy is going to be in a position to provide that power quickly, efficiently, and in a way that's just going to be needed to satisfy the demand. And again, I could be wrong on this. We might have enough electrical power from other parts of the grid, and Constellation is not going to come through as this kind of savior to all of the data centers. But if the demand is where I think it might be in a year or two, personally, I want to be there. And so that's why Constellation Energy makes it into this portfolio. And the other company that's making it into the portfolio, along similar lines of Constellation, is Vistra. Vistra Energy, Vistra, and the ticker symbol is VST. So, and one thing I didn't mention about the last company, about Constellation, is that they have received a production tax credit from, and this is a governmental thing which is enacted to encourage nuclear power companies to go ahead and develop their nuclear programs. So it offers downside protection. So basically the government has said that they will put a floor of $43.75 per megawatt hour in 2024. And so that, promising that that's as low as power will be compensated, a company like this knows that if energy prices go down to, like, say, $35 per megawatt hour, they're not going to be out of luck, that they're always going to be able to sell energy at that price. So that gives them a lot of energy stability, and that applies to 2024, but I believe that may apply going forward as well, and that was with Constellation. Vistra is another nuclear power company, and what's exciting about Vistra is that just this past year, 1 year ago, they completed the acquisition of Energy Harbor. It was a $3 billion purchase, and Energy Harbor has their own set of nuclear reactors. And so Vistra basically greatly expanded the amount of power that they can generate. And some of their customers are retail and some of them are commercial. And so now they just have a much larger source of energy to provide to their customers. So by me investing in both Constellation and Vistra, it really is a bet that demand is going to increase in the next few years, and that the people who own the stocks of these companies will probably, if earnings increase over the next few years, I would think that the stock price is going to follow as well. So that's Vistra. And so you may be wondering, well, what are you going to follow this up with? What could be stock number 4? I don't think any of you guys have heard of this one, because it's kind of obscure and it's not talked about a lot. You have your semiconductor channels, and you've got people who talk about tech stocks and AI stocks and chip stocks, all this stuff. But this is a company called Eaton Company, or Eaton Corporation. And you guys should just write in the comments if you've ever heard of this. ETN. So this is a really big company, okay? And they're a diversified power management company. And so they have their sales in 2024, in the fourth quarter, their sales were $5.97 billion, which was a quarterly record for this company. So they had a really good quarter last quarter. Their electrical global division is split up among data center users, industrial, commercial, and institutional customers. They're also involved in defense and in aerospace. The way I found out about Eaton Corporation was when I was researching Axsome Technologies, and I learned that Axsome was actually spun off from this company back in, I think it was the year 2000. It might have been 2002. I think it was 2002. In any case, Eaton is a much larger company. They're more established. And when it came to making this portfolio, I'll tell you what was really, really hard was finding companies that I think have a bright future, where there's going to be demand, but where the stock hasn't just been bid up to the sky. And this is the hard thing about investing that a lot of people won't talk about, is that you need to be disciplined in what you go after. You don't want to go in hoping that some sucker later on down the line will just pay you more than you paid. Because that will say, like, hey, if I pay $230 a share, somebody's going to pay me $300. That's just hoping a greater fool comes along who's willing to get you out of that trade so you can make money. But when prices are just going up and up, a lot of people don't think that they can ever come down. But anyone who's ever bought a stock that was overpriced or overhyped knows what I'm talking about. So yeah, it's been really hard finding stocks, especially in the tech or semi space, that aren't already just crazy expensive. I've been looking at a couple of them for stock number 5, and honestly, it's just hard to put money into a stock that's already gone up 200 or 300 or 400% in the last year. It just seems like insane. I don't have a stock number 5 for this animal donut portfolio yet. And it's funny because I really want it to be like, all right, here we go, 5 stocks. I would rather be confident in the 4 that I came up with for my own portfolio and then just have the flexibility to. And also, I'm going to make another video really soon about one of these companies, because while I was doing research in this animal donut portfolio, one of the companies, I just found a kind of human interest side to it that I thought was just fascinating. I'm really happy that you stopped by and joined me today. It's always fun to talk with you. And let me know what you think about any of the stocks that I talked about in the comment section, because yeah, I always love to read about what you guys have to say. All right, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.